Oh, here we are again. So of course today we're gonna continue talking a little bit more about the Skull Island Rise of Kong video game, which, as we all know, is a complete disaster. Ever since pretty much like the first trailer, a lot of the leaks and all the pictures that we've seen, and now that the game's actually out, as we all know, it's yeah, it's shit. There really is nothing else to really say about the quality of it. It's pretty obvious that no effort was really put into the making of the game, which is unfortunate because the game is supposed to be sort of kind of about like the backstory of like Kong and stuff like that. I wouldn't really say it's his backstory, but at least it's like one of his like stories of like his journey throughout Skull Island and him fighting your generic mutated. Well, I shouldn't really call him mutated, but you get the idea, right? It's not a good game, and it's unfortunate because obviously with how popular the IP is now, especially with the upcoming Godzilla X Kong New Empire film coming out next year. Well, supposedly next year, if the writer's strike, not exactly sure how that really affects it because apparently the projects, like Deadpool 3, of course, as another example. A lot of future projects they can still be continued, but there's still a little bit of a catch that's kind of going on, and it has to do with like I don't know if it's exactly the writer's strike. I think it's the actor strike. Whatever. I don't want to get off topic. Let's just talk a little bit about the game because even more stuff came out talking about it, which of course I have to talk about it. Come on, why not? And it's so weird, with some of the things that came out, and I feel oddly obligated to kind of talk about it. I really want to, you know what I mean? I mean, it was either that or talk about Giant Man again. I don't know. The whole HasLab situation going on with Hasbro. But I thought I'd keep it maybe a little bit consistent. So obviously, I already talked about like my opinions on like what I think of the video game, and all that. And of course, I even mentioned too, I'm not the type of person to really want to judge a game based on how it looks. I rather like play it or at least watch some gameplay of it to kind of sort of seek at least a little bit of some judgment there. But obviously, seeing how things are going, and as we all know, the game is pretty much a glitchy mess too. I mean, it's like if you even if you're lucky enough to not have glitches in that game, unfortunately, it's like I don't know. It's still a pretty mediocre experience for the most part. It's like your basic I don't what do I really call it exactly? What genre is this set in? Like action adventure? I don't even know. You basically do the same thing where it's like run here, fight enemy here, run this way, jump here, and all that. And it's supposed to be almost like an open world type game because technically this is all on an island. But even like as you play through the game, there's no proper navigation where it's like you know where you're at, but it's like you don't really know where you're going either. It's almost like the game just pretty much sends you on whenever, and it doesn't help that some, if not most, of the environments are roughly the same. And I know what you're thinking, Josh. You're giving us like a weird mini review or something. Come on, it's not like there's not much to the game to that extent, right? Apparently this is only a 3-hour game from what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. If that's the case, I mean that's pretty terrible. That's all I'm gonna say right now. It's like wow. So it's one of those like pretty short games, which okay, fine, whatever, But devs, whatever, whoever's in charge of stuff like this, yeah, they'll make video games and then they'll make them like I don't know, real short and stuff like that, whatever, just to kind of play it on a boring afternoon. But the thing is though, this was like a $60 game or 70, This thing came out on like the PS5 and stuff like that. People were mostly playing it on like Steam and stuff. And it's already being discounted. This is already considered like the worst game of 2023 pretty much for the most part. And that's of course interesting considering Gollum, which was of course in a somewhat similar situation where it's like the game came out and it's not only is the gameplay pretty bad, but it's like it glitches. It's pretty obvious, nothing about the game was fairly polished. It's a crap. It's the definition of a crap video game. It's something that you definitely like. You put so much money into it, and it's like you're so sad that it turned out to be the biggest disaster that it is. Even when I was doing my toy hunts and stuff like that, I was actually seeing Gollum like a lot of the times on PS5, and I was like, wow. This is the next generation console, and we're getting games like this? That sucks. You know what else sucks? When you start to learn more about the development of the game, because apparently now this is kind of sort of allegedly but not exactly because there is some proof to it. They apparently reuse assets, for the game, like basically like free assets that you can find online, they were actually used for the game, which is obviously not only terrible, but that is a big no-no, especially when you're considering on a big huge game like this. And this is the part where I want to speak my mind about it, because as someone for a pretty short time in college that did learn a little bit about graphics design and like 3D animation stuff like that. Yes, when you're a beginner, of course, there are websites that do offer like free assets, so that way if you're working on some sort of project, if you're making like at least a game that's not gonna go out there, but just something you want to make just to kind of work on your skills and stuff like that. Yes, there are sites just for that, free assets that you can use. And those assets can range from like, certain character models or environments. And in this case, yes, it's actually been proven that the game actually uses simple grass. Is that's what I've been hearing. The name of the asset they use. For like the land, like when Kong walks, and it's like, bro, this is like the environment, basically like the grass, the floor setting. You could pretty much find that pretty easily and use it. And it's like, yeah, not exactly sure how this game came out in that state, because like I say, just because they're free, that doesn't mean that you can really use it for such a huge project like that, especially considering that people are paying a lot of money for it. Because obviously there's a reason for why these assets exist, and it's because of practice, and of course using it for projects. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like your main line of work. Basically, the only way I can really describe it is, think of it like you're an artist. You're drawing a concept for a character or something, and let's say it has to be like very specific what it is, and you're not exactly sure like what pose or like how exactly you're gonna draw. So of course there's like slight references, or like you use like how to draw books and stuff like that, and you could kind of sort of use those, but don't actually put it in your final work, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys get what I'm trying to say. Basically, it's like that, except no, they just flat out put it. It's like plagiarism, but it's not plagiarism at the same time. Basically, that's kind of what it is. It's like they basically reuse an asset that pretty much anyone can use for any kind of project for this game. Now, mind you, yes, it has been proven that they did use it for the flooring, but for everything else, it's hard to really say for sure. That's kind of like this more of an ongoing situation. Basically, it's like, did they reuse any other things too? Because there has been cases where like assets would be reused and stuff like that and other stuff, and media, and it's like, you know they're not really there for you for like the taking and stuff like that. That's just supposed to sort of help you understand the ground levels behind 3D animation and of course the graphics designs. If you guys want a perfect example of assets that were flat out stolen, you guys ever heard of Crypto Land? Now that died out super quick. Not to mention that the people in charge of that were just snotty assholes, basically. The story of Crypto Land, honestly, I don't even know where to start, because this has to do with like NFTs, and I don't want to drift the focus either. I want to talk about this game, but at the same time, I have to mention this stuff just for clarity. Basically, it's like NFTs, the non fungible token, basically, where it's like a token, that you buy, and it's not a metaverse thing, but it's like it has been something that was used by the metaverse or some shit like that. It's not like the actual, like, it's like the token is like the valuable aspect in it, but then in the end you end up paying like so much money for it. You're basically paying a lot of money for a JPEG. That's all I'm gonna say. That's pretty much what it is. But the thing is, you try to argue with it, and these people, they're like those dumbest people possible. Where they will argue towards the end of the earth, trying to tell you why an NFT is why these are a big deal. And of course, Cryptoland was of no exception, where they literally wanted to use an actual real island to create this place where you are using nothing but just crypto and all that. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? So it was a god awful idea. And what also didn't help was that they made a lot of weird tweets that probably didn't help the situation. The reason why I'm talking about Cryptoland is because for their models that they actually use for the promotion were just flat out stolen. They actually, and I mean steal, because yeah, there are assets that you can use for free, but there's also in some places, in some cases, you do have to pay for them, which, yeah, that might sucks, but somehow, I don't know how they managed to do it, but they actually did stole some of the models for some random characters that you can use for assets and stuff like that, and they basically kind of reworked it a little bit. So in that case, it's kind of like plagiarism in that situation, because you're basically sort of fixing it up a little bit to make it look like your own when it really isn't. And I'm not even sure how people managed to caught it, because mind you, the promotion for it, it is an insult for sure. Not just for 3D designs and animation, but it's also just like like why would you use that as like a form of like advertisement and all that is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to really say it without actually watching the Cryptoland trailer. I don't even think it's out because Cryptoland was a complete failure. So the only thing I could think of is just watch like a reaction video, like well watch Penguin Zero's video on it basically, and it's like he shows you the whole thing, and it's like it's awful. It's like wow, is this how people treat animation nowadays? You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those, you know what I mean? So it's like mind blowing to say the least. So it's very upsetting to say the least. So I don't know about that. That's all I could really So when it comes to like the questioning of the people behind making the game and stuff like that, apparently now this is like new kind of news. This was actually recent, but apparently the people making the game were only given a year to kind of wrap up everything, which I mean in video game land, I don't know how that works. I don't know. I know that for some video games, they don't take too much time to make and they become really popular and all that. I use like the Wii for an example where it was a very simple system to use. So pretty much anyone and their grandma could make a video game if they wanted to on the Wii system and stuff like that. And game development obviously is not very easy. I mean, of course, a good example is with the recent Resident Evil games, where for their graphics now they use the RE engine, which is supposed to be like those almost like hyper realistic graphics, but not exactly. Basically, if you see like the face models for the characters, that face actually does exist, but to a certain degree where they do kind of fix it up a little bit. It's supposed to be games that look semi-realistic, but not 100%. That's kind of like that idea. And of course, those kind of games are made in like in quick time because they had their system down. I mean, we're talking like Resident Evil 2 remake 2019, Resident Evil 3 remake 2020, Resident Evil Village 2021, and then a year break, and then of course this year we had the amazing Resident Evil 4 remake. So of course you could kind of see the idea there. So I had no idea like how long it would actually take for these people to make this game. Obviously it didn't pay off. I mean, you've all seen how it is. I don't need to show you clips. No, you pretty much already got it down to a T how awful this game is. And for MonsterVerse fans, for King Kong or Kong fans, whatever, we deserve better because that's pretty terrible. How hard is it to make a giant monster video game? Is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I'm not in that field, so I cannot really say for sure 100% how that works. All I can really say is that this situation keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and obviously it's hilarious to watch the failure of it too. That's the only good part about this whole thing is that at least we could kind of see the downfall of it, and it's much deserved because it's like no, it's a slap in the face, not just for people that work hard in making video games, in the industry, but of course it's an insult to us when we spend our money on it and all that. So yeah, I don't know, guys. What do you think, really? I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but it's like I'm at a loss for words for how shit like this just kind of goes on. You know what I mean? You know kind of sucks too because it's like imagine the people that actually do want to put effort into projects like these and then they get screwed over by this. Again, who knows who made these decisions? Honestly, it could be like the head of like the company or whatever. I don't know. You never really know exactly. There's always small little like dirty stuff kind of going on in these industries when you least expect it. So that's stuff that you obviously got to keep an eye out for. So hopefully people heed my message last time. Do not buy this game. It's not worth it. So that's about it. So I'm gonna end the video. So tomorrow I might talk about the Giant Man situation where it's pretty much dead on arrival. I don't think it's gonna really reach its goal for its backers, but who knows? I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. Wednesday, there's of course another toy review, hopefully with no delays. And I'm not sure what I'll do after that. I mean with the gameplays, I know the last one was not short, but like not too exciting. So I might release that early during the week. I don't know yet. I usually try to keep it like once a week, and of course keep it nice and consistent, so that way you guys know. Because I don't like to just pull out videos here and there. But I feel like when I do videos like these with like the talking ones and stuff like that, it's somewhat of an exception because I know that not everybody always watches my videos every day and stuff like that, and you don't have to watch every single one. But please give them a watch to at least kind of give out some knowledge because we all love Kong. We love our big, ginormous gorilla monkey thing. So it's like at least kind of give it some respect. Is all I'm trying to say. Like, come on, put some respect back in Kong's name. So until then, that's about it. That's kind of the plan. So thank you guys for watching, and that's about it. So see ya.